Good morning, y'all. I'm not going to do my typical intro at the beginning of this video because I do that in the next clip. So this clip is an add-on, but I'm putting it to the beginning of the video. In the next clip, you're going to hear the actual video that I've already created, where I'm just documenting a car accident that happened. So it's the fourth car accident that I've had since my targeting started in 2020. So again, we're in 2025, right? July today. Today's July 1st of 2025. And this is the fourth car accident that I've had in the span of not even a full 5 years, in the span of 4.5 years. Can you imagine that? So it's almost like a car accident every year. That's not how it was. It was actually 3 car accidents in the span of 2 years. So from the years 2020 to 2022, when my targeting had just started, in the span of those 2 years, I was in 3 back-to-back car accidents. I actually lost newer cars that I had paid off in full with my hard-earned cash. So anyways, that happened. And then now fast forward to this year, 2025, I've now been in my 4th car accident. And so I just documented it, y'all, for my own protection, for documentation purposes, because I am targeted and dealing with heinous treatment, gang stalking, harassment, stalking, surveillance, etc. So I documented it, again, just for my own protection and to keep a record of the things that are happening, but also as a way to prove what I had been saying about my first 3 car accidents. And you're going to hear what I mean when you listen to the next clip. But also, in the next clip, as I'm documenting the events that took place that led up to the car accident, you're also going to hear me say that I wrote the governor literally a few days prior to the accident happening. Coincidentally enough, I was so desperate to get out of this thing. I actually sent a message to the governor of the Virgin Islands on Facebook Messenger. And you're going to hear why I feel like he might not have seen my message. I mean, I'm sure at this point now, because everybody's watching me, I'm a target. I'm sure at this point by now he knows I sent a message. But that message that I sent, I don't think he saw that initially. I don't even think up to now he's seen it. And I gave the explanation to why at the end of the next clip. So at the end of the video, you'll hear me talking about the governor and why I feel like he didn't see that message. But I just wanted to, ahead of time, read you the message that I sent to the governor, and then also read you the message that I sent to my mom. I sent desperate messages to my mother and the governor 3 days ago because the targeting is so freaking bad. And now here we are 3 days later and I'm in this car accident. And I was dealing with a lot of gang stalking activity right before the car accident. So anyways, let me go ahead and read you the message I had sent to the governor. I said, "Good night, Governor so-and-so." Of course, I'm not going to say the name here on video, y'all. But I said, "Good night, Governor so-and-so. My name is Sharifa Nurse and I am a targeted individual. My targeting started on the summer of 2020, shortly after I graduated from college. I relocated to St. Croix from Florida to teach and was targeted after arriving back home. I have done research on this program coined COINTELPRO and learned that it is ran by the government. For the last 4 years and change, I have dealt with stalking, harassment, and trauma. The targeting even led to me having some horrible reactions where I shared offensive content. I do not have a history of getting into trouble, nor disrespecting any race, gender, or religion. During my targeting, I have acted out of character and said hurtful, offensive things which has only worsened my targeting. I'm reaching out as a plea for help and an inquiry on what you suggest I do to get out of this program. I have lost jobs, assets, and when I said assets, y'all, I was talking about the cars that I lost, right, in those 2 years when the targeting had first started. I was talking about my credit score. I was talking about a lot of the material things that I've lost. I lost clothes, I lost shoes, I've lost a lot of things, right? So anyways, I said I have lost jobs, assets, credit, because before I tried to relocate off of this island in 2022, 2 years after the targeting started, I had a 700 and change credit score. My credit score was good. I'm not going to say had. I have a good resume. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. So like I was saying, y'all, my credit score was good. I had a 700 and change credit score, almost at 800. I have a good resume, which seems to be irrelevant now in the grand scheme of things, now that I'm targeted to this level. I have 2 degrees and certifications. I graduated with a 3.5 GPA. Like, I had a lot going for me. And it's almost like you lose all of those things when you get targeted. Right? So anyways, also another car that I lost when I tried to relocate off the island in 2022, 2 years after the targeting started. And you're going to hear in the next video me talk a little bit more in detail about the targeting. Even though I have videos on this channel where I've told my story in depth, I do kind of briefly start to summarize what happened to me with the targeting and kind of give like the backdrop story on the 3 accidents I had in the first 2 years of my targeting, and then talk about the accident that happened yesterday. Anyway, nonetheless, y'all, now hear the plane flying by. The same plane that flew by right before my car accident happened yesterday, when they were talking about killing Whitney Houston. But anyway, so let me continue. So like I was saying though, as far as assets and losing assets go, so when I tried to relocate in 2022, at that time I didn't know I was a target. I just knew there was weird activity happening on island because I sent a text message summer of 2020. So anyways, went to the States, and because my credit was so good, I was able to get a very cheap car loan on Carvana for a very good quality car. It was a brand new car. I lost that car as well due to not being able to keep up with the payments. Wasn't able to get a job. I was being stalked by a large amount of people in the States, which is around the time when I shared the offensive content and when my targeting went viral and things worsened for me. So I ended up back on this island. So I lost the car. That was thrown onto the credit score. It's just a lot of stuff, y'all. Y'all know how it works if you're targeted. Very unfair. Anyway, so this is what I meant when I said assets. I told them I have lost jobs, assets, credit. I'm talking about my credit score. And credibility, because of course your reputation is trampled when you're targeted. And credibility due to my targeting. I do not want to lose any more precious years. And when I say precious years, y'all, remember I just said this started in 2020, summer of 2020. I was age 29, actually 28, making 29 when the targeting started. I'm now 33 years old. I'm well into my 30s now. I'm making 34 at the end of the year if the Most High spares my life, and this thing is still happening. So that's what I mean when I say I don't want to lose any more precious years, especially as a female whose biological time clock is ticking. Anyway, so I said, please advise me kindly on how I can rectify this situation. Thank you. Regards, Sharifa. The message doesn't even look like it was opened. And again, I explained in the next clip, when you actually hear the video, why I think he wouldn't have seen the message anyway. I'm sure now at this point, like I said, he knows I sent him a message because I'm targeted and everything that's going on with me is viral. But the message itself, I believe, was thrown into one of those side inboxes that is relegated to people that's not actually friends with you. Especially if you're somebody that's getting a lot of friend requests and a lot of messages. I'm saying that as someone who also has that going on. I have 3 inboxes. I have my regular inbox where the messages from people who are friends with me goes. I have the people you may know inbox where the messages from people who aren't friends with me but that have mutual friends with me go. And then I have a spam inbox where messages from people who aren't friends with me and who do not have mutual friends with me go. So there are 3 different inboxes, and I myself get a lot of messages, and I don't even see the notifications for the messages from those people who aren't friends with me. Like, I see it by accident. Like, if I click on the spam box or I happen to click on the people you may know box by accident, which happened to me the other day, that's when I see all those messages from people who I'm not friends with. I had so many in there. He has way more followers than me. Way more messages than me, I'm sure. So I think my message just hopped into one of them inboxes and it's like spam, basically. So anyways, nonetheless, that's how desperate I was, though. This was literally 3 days ago, y'all. I'm going to see if I can insert... It's just complicated. My phone is messed up. I have water damage, and that's why I've been making these videos on the computer now. I'm going to see if I can insert this message. Of course, I'm going to scratch the governor's name out. I'm going to see if I can insert this message in the beginning of this video, so you can see just 3 days ago I was begging for help again, about this situation before my car accident. And I was begging my mother too, because the targeting has amped up. They're doing a lot of rev campaign, a lot of heinous gang stalking activity. Actually, that night I was doing security at the shopping center. I don't typically have that on my schedule, but just for that 1 week, it seems like the secretary gave me an extra night. And they had, you know, those insect drones or roach drones that are utilized on targets. I've talked about this technology before in prior videos, and if you check out the links in the description box and comment section, you'll see a bunch of links to different videos sharing info about the targeted individual program. You'll see links to videos where I tell my story, but you'll also see links to videos that share information about the technology used on targets. And some of the videos I share are videos, military videos, talking about these drones and their capabilities. So they actually have cockroach drones in my vehicle. When I bought the vehicle, the roaches were in there. Like literally the night of the purchase of the vehicle, when I took it to work, a bunch of those roaches started landing on me, and they're huge. And sometimes they let off this weird smelling liquid. So that same night when I wrote this message to the governor, I was up to my wit's end. They kept revving by and harassing me in the shopping center that I was doing security at. And 3 of those roaches had landed on me, and I'm terrified of roaches. That's just like one of the worst tactics that they use on me, because I am terrified of roaches. I'm not even a girly girl. I'm very tough. I'm a tomboy, right? I like to dress nice when I have money and I actually have my life together. But I am a tomboy. I don't get scared easily. I am terrified of roaches, and they landed 3 on me that night. It was just really bad that night. And just like I said, the targeting has amped up. This whole summer has been real bad. So I wrote the governor's message. Because I'm like, I haven't even committed a crime. You know, some of the things that has happened was literally just reactions to being targeted, and I hadn't done anything. And I'm like, it's almost 4.5 years later and I'm still suffering. I'm like, I know people down here who have committed actual freaking crimes, who have done shorter prison sentences. I've seen it. So I'm just like, this is just so unfair to me. So anyways, then I even wrote my mom a message. Even though I know how that works. Typically when you write family about this stuff, you get gaslit and what you're saying isn't acknowledged. I even wrote and pleaded with my mother. Sorry, y'all, that it sounds like I'm pausing. I'm actually looking through the messages between she and I so I can read what I sent to her as well. Let me pause the video while I look through, y'all, because I don't want, you know, this big long pause. So I said to her, I sent this to the governor on Facebook Messenger, and I just read her the message, the same message I just read to you guys. She said, "What?" in all caps. And then she said, "You sent this to the governor?" And she said, "You have absolutely no sense. We really have to get you help. I am going to work on this. This is embarrassing." I said, "Why would he think I said, "You can see my name on the account." I said, "Please do help me," because she had said something else that I'm not going to mention. So I said, "Please do help me. That's what I have been begging for. Years ago, before things got this bad, and before I tried to relocate off island, I asked for help," which is true. Before I tried to relocate, I also tried to rectify the situation. Before the targeting ever got this bad, and before it ever went viral, I asked for help when I tried to rectify the situation. And similar to what's happening here in these messages, I was gaslit. And what I was saying wasn't acknowledged, and I was saying bullshit, etc. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like, okay, let me just relocate, because they're not acknowledging what I'm saying. What's happening is happening. It's like the text was, oh, a big boo-boo that I just can't be forgiven for. I'm forever punishment for a text. So I said, let me just try to relocate off island. The thing followed me and blew up, and now I'm in this shit pot here. So anyways, so I said years ago, before things got this bad and before I tried to relocate off island, I asked for help. I want my life back now. 4.5 years is enough. I deserve reparations for everything I have been through and continue to go through. Now, mind you, I was saying this and I hadn't even gotten in the car accident that happened yesterday. This is all 3 days ago, right before this freaking car accident. So then she said, "I'm going to help you for sure. This has gotten worse." I said, "I'm getting attacked by roaches tonight." I said, "Conveniently, the night I'm working the extra shift that was given to me." I said, "I'm terrified of roaches, and conveniently 3 have landed on me in one night." I said, "It's just horrible and mean to keep putting roaches on someone that you know is terrified of them." I said, "It's like this sadistic torture that I'm dealing with." I said, "Please help me." I said, "Again, I am pleading and begging." I said, "I would like my life back and my freedom back." I said, "I don't want to deal with roaches and hum attacks." Because remember, they also use energy weapons on targets, and my ear was ringing too. They were using the Havana syndrome thing and popping my ears out. So I said, for no reason, because someone thinks it's fun to torture me. So I said, they're making it almost unbearable to work at this post tonight, this extra post. I said, it's so-and-so. I said the name of the shopping center, and I've been attacked by 3 roaches. There was constant revving and annoying, menacing noises by entities on the road, and I feel my ear ringing. I said, just documenting the continued torture and abuse. Mind you, I need this extra night on my schedule. This feels like more sabotage. I said, also, I'm now dealing with random shortness of breath and more revving. I took cayenne pepper and water. This is more documentation. Now, mind you, I wrote her this. I was trying my damnedest to stay up. I was able to stay up until around 4 o'clock. I didn't even get to rest before I got there. Because instead of resting before I got to the shift, I was making a video about what was going on in the gym, the harassment in the gym. Right? So I get there, I hadn't even rested. I'm trying so hard to stay up because I need the night on my schedule. They're harassing me like crazy. This is before I nodded off. I sent all of these messages. Big message to the governor, big message to my mother, begging her. I ended up having an anxiety attack. I actually thought I was going to have to go to the hospital because I was feeling pressure in my chest, and I'm only 33, and I eat healthy and I work out. So it's all stress related. I ended up opening the door, trying to stay up. I ended up putting the seat back, just trying to catch myself. And I ended up knocking out. Now the night is off of my schedule. So she said, I'll be home very soon. I think you need to pray strongly. That's the only real thing that was said in the messages. I said, that's the only remedy you have suggested that I agree with. I said, I don't need meds or therapy, and I'm not crazy. She said, you should also stop watching horror movies and sleeping while they are playing. That has nothing to do with anything. And she said, I am responding in another chat. Stop writing in this one. So then we move over to the personal chat, because I was actually in the group chat that I was having that convo with her in. We move over to the personal chat messages now. I'm not scrolling through all these messages to get to the rest of the conversation, but it was just more basically gaslighting, like not acknowledging what's going on, what's obviously happening. And so it was a waste of time. But nonetheless, I have begged, literally begged for help from the governor and from my mother just 3 days prior to the accident that you're going to hear about in the next clip. And then you'll hear about all the gang stalking activity that took place right before I got in the accident. So nonetheless, y'all, I'm just, again, documenting that I have been begging for 4.5 years for help, and I'm not getting the help that I'm begging for. There's no second chances. It's over because you sent a text. While there are people who have actually killed people, and I'm not judging these people because I say stuff like this and then I make more enemies. I'm not judging you if you did that. I'm just saying if you're given a chance, and you have people out there that have raped people that are walking and free, why can't I be given a chance for sending a text and then getting upset and sharing offensive content because I was targeted ruthlessly after? So anyways, y'all, this is documentation and for my own protection. I'm still seeking help and trying to get out of the targeting. I've now been in my 4th car accident. So now y'all will see and hear what took place in the next clip. I just wanted to share this at the beginning of the video as kind of like a precursor or a prelude to the video. And I'll see if I can insert those messages I just read to you. If not, then, you know, it is what it is. I explained to you already, my phone has water damage. So I'm creating these videos on my computer. It's harder to merge them. It's going to be hard to now take the photos from my phone and get it in the video. I might not be able to put those messages in the video, but you heard the messages. And this was just 3 days ago, y'all. The accident happened yesterday. So it was actually 2 days prior to the car accident I was in. All right, I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, 5 years ago, basically, and links that will lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about the tactics used on targets, information about the technology used on targets, and just information about the program in general, y'all. As I just mentioned, I've been targeted for about 5 years now. It started at age 29. Right after I graduated magna cum laude with a 3.5 GPA from school. I had my whole life ahead of me. I had a good resume. I have, let me not say had, like I don't still have those things. I have a good resume. I had a teaching offer in Florida, and I chose to come home instead of taking that offer in Florida because of, it was basically, I didn't like the agreement or the terms of the offer. So I had just, like I said, graduated from school, and you have to be certified to be a teacher. And so obviously I wasn't certified. I just graduated. Even though I had teaching experience, I was working for the county. I was a substitute teacher for Broward County Public Schools, which is what led to me getting that interview so easily, by the way. I had been subbing for that county for 2 years while I was in school. Anyways, nonetheless, the offer that I was given was contingent upon me having my teaching certificate. And what happened was, it was during COVID, right? The COVID thing was still happening. They still had the restrictions, so I couldn't even do the interview in person. And so the interview was done over the phone. And I was in the vehicle with my mom at the time. My mom had came up for the vacation, and it was summertime, so I was doing this interview over the phone. And the lady, and I'm only saying the lady because I don't want to say her name, obviously. Anonymity. The lady liked me so much that she called me back within the hour and gave me an offer for the job, a job offer. So she didn't even know that I wasn't certified. That, surprisingly enough, never came up in the conversation. And so now, later on down the line, as I'm turning in my paperwork and I'm turning in the information I need to turn in for the position, that's when she found out I wasn't certified. And so she was explaining to me that she legally cannot hire me on as an actual teacher. She could hire me on as a sub, but she couldn't hire me on as an actual secondary teacher. And secondary means you're just like a high school teacher. She couldn't hire me on as a secondary English teacher because I didn't have my certification. And it's not like here in the islands. I'm gonna explain what led to me moving home. Here in the islands, they do something called a provisional certification, where they'll give you like a temporary certification that will become permanent once you take the courses needed to get certified. But once you have the provisional certification, you can teach. You can actually become a teacher. You're not a sub, right? So anyways, they don't have that, at least not in that area of Florida where I was at. I don't know if they have that in one of the United States. I don't know. I don't want to speak or say misinformation. But where I was applying, Broward County Public Schools, they did not have that. So she was explaining to me that I still have the position, but she was going to hire me on as an interim sub. I would be doing the work of a secondary English teacher. And while doing the work of a secondary English teacher, getting the experience and having the position, I would take the courses and then get certified and then actually be hired on as a secondary English teacher. So it would have been more like an internship, but an internship that was going to turn into a permanent position. And I was just stupid me. I should have just took it. I wanted to actually be a teacher right away. And my mom spoke to me and she was telling me, well, if you come home, I'm teaching at so-and-so school. I don't know if they're trying to warn me. There's like this thing in my dashboard that makes a knocking sound. You know how it is when you're targeted. Everything's booby trapped and noise campaigns set up everywhere. My window makes a tapping sound too. There's a target that's well known in the community, Michael Barden. You might know who he is. I've mentioned him in several of my videos before. He actually was talking about this big, huge house that he got for this very good price. This is when he was with his wife, and apparently his wife was a gang stalker. That's crazy. I couldn't even imagine that. I've done dealt with so much shit in the targeting. I couldn't imagine you actually marrying a gang stalker. That's crazy. But his wife was a gang stalker, and she's the one who told him about the house. And so he moved into the house. This was before he knew he was a target. This was around when he was learning that he was a target. And he still had money in his pocket. He wasn't completely broke, like what ends up happening to targets. Now he's homeless, right? So he's worse off than me. But that's what typically happens to targets. So anyways, he bought this big, huge, expensive house because it was at a good price. And he said he should have known it was too good to be true. And he was showing in the video, I made a video about this like in 2023, I think, one of my old videos, right? He was showing like the different noise campaigns that's set up in the house. It's like they set booby traps up in the walls and in the windows, and you hear like clicking sounds and you don't know where the fuck it's coming from. And, obviously because his wife was a gang stalker, she helped to facilitate that. So I bought this car, right? But, I'm targeted. Y'all know my story. If you haven't listened to my story, please don't start here at this video. You'll be lost. Anyway, I'm on an island where to my knowledge, no one has ever been targeted before. So miraculously enough, I'm the first person to be targeted on this island, right? And everybody's privy to the targeting and everybody's involved. Let me be careful with what I'm saying, because not everyone gets involved. But when I say everyone's involved, I mean everyone is aware of what's happening with me. And a lot of people do get involved. So shit, y'all should have seen what happened today with my accident. What was happening just now while I'm here at work because I got in an accident. That's what this video is about. So anyways, so it's just like, it's just horrible. It's very easy to booby trap. Y'all, hold on. Noise campaign. Let me pause this. Hold on. They're listening intently, I guarantee you. That's why everything quiet down. They be listening. As much as they do noise campaign, it's just crazy to me. Anyway, so nonetheless, everything's booby trap. The car I bought, booby trap, full of roach drones. That's a part of the technology that they use on targets, by the way, y'all. They use actual insect drones. Real insects that have microphones in them, cameras. In the case of the mosquito drones, they actually can insert nano into you with the mosquito drones and the RFID chip. And this is not fodder, right? This is not some sci-fi crazy shit I'm talking out the side of my neck. That's why I do what I do, and I put the links in the description box and comment section. That's some of the technology I was referencing at the beginning of the video. So this can help validate your experience and help you kind of learn about some of the things that's utilized on targets. Because I wish I had known about this stuff earlier in my targeting. I was going crazy when I had my apartment and I had my car before I tried to relocate off island. I was trying to figure out how the hell they were watching me on camera. I even ordered a bunch of, different devices to find hidden cameras, like infrared lights. I ordered this frequency thing that was supposed to pick up on, I ordered all kinds of shit, wasted money when I should have been ordering a jammer when I had the opportunity to do it before my targeting got this bad. But I didn't know about it back then. I didn't even know I was a target back then before I tried to relocate off island. And if you listen to my story, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say relocate off island. Because the targeting started in 2020. That's what I was telling you guys about before I went off on the tangent. Moved back home to teach. Ended up getting targeted as soon as I moved home because I sent a stupid text message. 2 years I stayed down here. I taught and I was doing security to the side. And after 2 years of targeting, I didn't know that's what it was. I knew something weird was happening because I sent the text message. Tried to relocate in 2022. The targeting followed me and blew up due to my reaction to it following me. Nothing physical. I didn't harm anybody. But still, my reaction was considered offensive enough for it to go viral. And what I did was worse than anything anyone in the world has ever done before. And so it's just like it blew up like crazy. I ended up back to this island, but before I came back to this island, it's a long saga. Yeah, I don't want to retell the story. Please listen to my story and don't start here. But nonetheless, I ended up back on this island at the end of 2022, and that was when I did more research, and I realized, oh shit, I'm something called a target. And so from 2022 to this point here now, 2025, June of 2025, I've been cognizant of the fact that I'm a target. I did not know before, even though it started in 2020. Anyway, y'all, so I went off on a tangent because they made the noise campaign in my dash, though, the dash for my car. Like, that's one of the things that's booby trapped. Oh yeah, the insect drones, that's what I was telling you about. So they booby trap stuff, they use insect drones on you, and the links are in the description box and comment section that talks about this technology. There's an actual military video where they talk about these drones and how they're used and etc, etc. Nonetheless, y'all, back to what I was saying though, because just give me a brief rundown of where it started to where I'm at right now. Even though I don't need to. If you listen to my videos, you'll hear my story. I'm still doing that. I always do that, especially when it's like something serious like what I'm about to talk about. So anyways, so yeah, that was the offer though when I was in Florida in 2020 and I had just graduated. And it was COVID, by the way. So I didn't even get to do my graduation until summer of 2022. I actually walked with my younger sister. She graduated in 2022. I graduated in 2020. But we walked together summer of 2022 because COVID was happening during my graduation time, so I couldn't walk in 2020. Anyway, nonetheless, the job offer just wasn't what I was looking for at the moment. I wanted to be like a teacher, like I wanted the title and everything, and I wanted the pay and everything. And interim subs, they don't make much less than an actual secondary English teacher, but it's not the same pay grade. It's a little bit less. And so I was just like, no, thank you. Like not in a disrespectful way. Like I was so freaking like excited that she even wanted me or liked me, right? Not to use that term. Oh my God. It's just I'm so sensitized, y'all. They've been doing all kinds of stuff with the targeting, even with the word want. I've talked about this in prior videos, so that sensitized me. But the fact that she was actually interested in me and hired me so quickly, I was honored and I felt really good about it. But at the time, I was, I didn't know what it felt like to be in a seat that I'm in now, where everything is precious and every opportunity is precious and you need to hold on to stuff. I was a regular human back then. I wasn't targeted. I didn't know this shit existed. I had a good resume. I had options. I had just graduated with a 3.5 GPA. So I'm like, okay, this is a good offer. And I'm grateful that she even wanted, me to work for her, whatever the case is. But I'll go home, because my mom is telling me that, I can teach with her at the high school she's teaching at. And for the school system here in the Virgin, the island I'm from, and I had taught for that school system before, and I can actually be an actual teacher and get the pay of a teacher while working towards getting my certification. So I was like, that sounds better. Came home. I still say, I don't know. I'm warring in my head on what was the biggest mistake in my life. I don't know if the coming home, back home was the biggest mistake. I don't know if sending the text message was the biggest mistake. I don't know if going from the dorms into the Airbnbs was the biggest mistake. It's something around that timeline when the shit started. One of those things was the biggest fucking mistake of my life. And I'm here now suffering 5 years later. It started at age 29. I'm now 33, right? My birthday's in December, at the end of December. If the Most High spares my life, I'm making 34 at the end of December. I'm well into my 30s now. They've taken that much of my life with this targeting. And all I did was send a text message. So anyway, I've had all kinds of stuff happen. PTSD, trauma, stalking, harassment, loss of assets, loss of property. I paid off 2 relatively new cars. This was before I tried to relocate off island. 2 relatively new cars, paid in full with my hard-earned cash. Got in bad car accidents, totaled both vehicles. Today I was in my 3rd car accident, y'all. My 4th, actually, if I'm keeping it real, my 4th car accident. There's one that happened that I don't really count like that, so that's why I would call this the 3rd one. There was one that was kind of swept under the rug, and it was like this kind of, I don't really count it like that, but that was a car accident too. Definitely. So I got in 3 back-to-back car accidents in the span of the time that my car targeting started. I want you to understand, right? Let's put reason and logic together now. That's why I'm making the video. It's not just to document what happened, but it's also now to prove my point, because low-key this accident was a blessing in disguise. Aside from the fact that the lady actually hit her head on the dashboard. That's the only thing, that I feel bad about, and that's the main negative. Obviously, my car is messed up. I need to get it fixed. It's not totaled or anything like that. Thank the Most High, it's like minimal damage, but bad enough that I need to get it fixed, and I'm broke. The guy's car was totaled. Thank the Most High, he was driving a very old vehicle. So my insurance, what they'll likely do is cover the value of his vehicle. That's how I think that works. And the value of his vehicle is not going to be much. It's a very old Raga type vehicle. So that's not too bad. It's like I said, the main thing was just that his wife's head hit the dashboard. That was the main thing. And she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. So she could have flew through that dashboard. It could have been way more catastrophic than how it ended. I'm like thanking the Most High that it worked out the way it did and not worse than what happened. But nonetheless, y'all, so just think about this though. My targeting started 2020. I was age 29 when it started, right? I want to make sure I'm doing the math correctly. Yeah, I was age 29 when it started. Prior to my targeting started, at age 29, a year away from 30, I had never been in a car accident in my life. I didn't even get a speeding ticket. I had never even gotten a speeding ticket. 29 years, not even 29 years. I started driving at age 15. So that's about 15 years of driving. I even drove in big ass Florida on the interstate, on I-95, on every freaking busy ass highway you could think of. So if I didn't get in car accidents up there on those type of roads with that type of speed, and then I come home now and I get targeted, I'm on a small island, the roads are small. All of a sudden I'm getting into back-to-back car accidents, and you're not taking that into consideration that it has everything to do with the targeting. I was gaslit like crazy about those 3 car accidents. They were sending stuff with the technology. I was drinking. I was this. First of all, if y'all listen to my story, I do have a history of alcoholism from my early 20s. Again, I'm 33. The targeting started at 29. My years of alcoholism, or active years of alcoholism, was in my early 20s. So I would say from 21 all the way up to 24 is when my years of alcoholism was happening. 24, I wouldn't even count it. Really and truly. I was still drinking, but I wasn't an alcoholic. 21 to 23, I was dealing with alcoholism. 1 year I was a blackout drunk. I was dealing with severe depression. I actually got raped. I was a blackout drunk. I actually got raped. I wasn't around any children because that's the false narrative they tried to create with that. One of the many lies that they tried to create. When I was a blackout drunk, I was actually here on this same island. And the only thing that happened to me that was negative during one of my blackouts was that I woke up and this guy was doing whatever he was doing. Thank the most I was only one time. You know, there are some people, and I'm not judging them. This is just how alcoholism and addiction works, unfortunately. Some people get addicted and all kinds of stuff happened to them. When I went to rehab, I didn't eventually go to rehab. You know, there were women that had been raped multiple times. In fact, getting raped was a normal occurrence for them. You know, they were losing gaps of time, like months at a time, because they were that badly addicted. It was never that bad for me, thank the Most High. And I'm not judging anyone that it was that bad for. Of course not. But I'm just saying I was lucky in that way, or blessed in that way. But I did have a moment where that happened to me. Literally, I was in an environment with people I trusted. My cousin and his friends, I had hung out with them so many times before. It was another day for me. Got blackout drunk. Woke up and his friend was doing whatever. So anyways, nonetheless, I did have that in my past, and I've been very real and open about that. Coincidentally or not, let me not even use the word coincidentally. It's just so odd how things work out. When shit hit the fan and I actually became a target and all this weird stuff started happening, I wasn't even an alcoholic. Like I said, I had just graduated magna cum laude. My life was completely turned around. And then this random weird shit started happening to me. It was to the point where I actually thought it was witchcraft. So nonetheless, I have to be real about the years where I was an alcoholic though, y'all, because that was one of the many false narratives they started purposely perpetuating, right? And utilizing my past against me during the targeting because they don't like me as a person. That's really what it is. That's what happens with a lot of targets. Like, you might have something in your past, like most people do, and they'll take it and they'll utilize it because they don't like you as a person. Whatever you really did to piss the people off and make you a target is what they're really honed in on. And so everything from your past is utilized. What's his name talked about this? Eric Snowden. Eric Snowden used to work for the Patriot Act. Smart freaking guy, right? One of those high profile targets. And he didn't like how the Patriot Act worked. I don't want to talk about conspiracy type stuff because I really would like to get out of this fucking program. And the more conspiratorial you sound, or like you talking about certain shit, even if it's public info, the less likely you are to get out of this thing. But nonetheless, Eric Snowden is like one of them high profile targets, like one of the main targets you'll hear about when you get targeted. So he was working for the Patriot Act. And if you do your research, you'll learn that the Patriot Act was enacted like around 2001 when 9/11 happened. And so 9/11 happened and the government said, well, you know, for safety and security, we need to do the Patriot Act. Y'all should vote in this act, right? Because this is going to help us protect the nation and keep everyone safe. And so basically people allowed that act to be signed into office or whatever. And so now they have a right to listen to all of your phone calls. They have a right to basically take information that they're hearing, private info, and utilize it against you. They're able to, I think, surveil you illegally. It's all kinds of stuff. And so Eric Snowden basically didn't like that. He felt like it was morally, what's the word I'm looking for? Not morally corrupt. I mean, kind of, but there's moral efficacy was coming into play. That's what I'm looking for. There was an issue with moral efficacy. That's what I was looking for. And so he was having an issue with going along with that, with listening to these people's personal convos and people getting targeted for things that he felt like they shouldn't be getting targeted for, you know, like off of speculation or whatever the case was. And so he didn't like it. He didn't agree with it. He went over to China and he basically started telling China what was going on and selling secrets and becoming a whistleblower, basically. And also making like public videos and talking about whatever was going on, private stuff that I guess he probably signed NDAs for or whatever. And so he ended up becoming like a high profile target. But he was talking about in his interview, one of the interviews where he was talking about this program, COINTELPRO, that's the technical term for it, and becoming targeted. He was talking about the fact that once you do become a target, it doesn't matter what type of life you've lived. He said it doesn't matter if you've lived a good life. He said it doesn't matter how good of a person you are. He said once you get put in this program and you become targeted, they're going to utilize everything against you. They're going to dig into your past. They're going to find old shit and try to use it against you. Old shit that might apply to a lot of other people. They'll dig it up and use it against you. And so I say that to say that's why my alcoholism is used against me. Because that's from almost over a decade ago, y'all. My life was completely turned around when I got targeted. My targeting had nothing to do with alcoholism. But because I'm a target and that's one of the tactics they use, they utilize my past as an alcoholic and try to push these false narratives. So one of the false narratives was that the 3 car accidents, the back-to-back car accidents I got into in the span of 2 years after my targeting started, because I want y'all to understand, the 3 car accidents that I got in was before I tried to relocate off island in 2022. So the targeting started in 2020. I tried to relocate off island summer of 2022. In the span of those 2 years, I got in 3 back-to-back car accidents. Prior to 2020, I had never even gotten a speeding ticket, and I was age 29. So for 15 years, I was driving, not just here on island, but in big Florida, in Georgia, on the I-95, etc. Never got in not 1 car accident, not even a speeding ticket. Then I move home, I become a target, and in the span of 2 years, 3 back-to-back car accidents. And they were gaslighting and not taking what I'm saying into consideration. They're sending stuff, about alcoholism and making these false narratives as if I was drunk and that's what caused the accidents. And they stopped doing it. Once I started making videos and making sense with the things I was saying, and they know full well I wasn't a drunk when those things happened. The drunkenness was almost a decade ago. It had nothing to do with drinking and everything to do with targeting. So anyway, the accident today happened, and again, although I'm upset the thing happened, I'm mad that my door is messed up, my front axle is messed up, the car's driving funny, I'm broke and I have to now try to fix that. My insurance, probably the premium's gonna go up, because even though that guy was driving an old vehicle, thank the Most High, it's still an accident that I was at fault for. So my premium's probably gonna go up. And also his wife hit her head. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt. They rammed into the side of me. She could have flew through the dashboard. Actually, thank the Most High she's still alive. That could have been real catastrophic for me and for them. But nonetheless, that's the negative part of it. But to me, I looked at it as an opportunity for me to prove my point. I'm like, this is bittersweet because they were doing so much before I got in that accident. And I was just like, oh my God, this reminds me of the 3 back-to-back car accidents I got in before I tried to relocate off island, and how they kept trying to push the narrative that I was getting drunk and driving reckless and it wasn't the targeting. So it's just like, oh my God, thank God all the shit that happened right before the accident happened. And then the accident happened and I'm like, okay, now this is a moment where I can prove what I was saying. So nonetheless, now here in the span of 5 years, right after my targeting started, I've been in 4 back-to-back car accidents. Prior to my targeting, I never even got a speeding ticket. So that's what's going on, y'all. I just had to document the car accident. I had to point that out, first of all, and prove my point. Use this as a moment, right? Because just how they use every little thing as moments to freaking whatever with the targeting, it's psychological warfare. And every moment is an opportunity for me to get knocked and hit and whatever else. I'm going to use it as a moment, too, for me, to benefit me. And I saw this as an opportunity to prove it had nothing to do with liquor and everything to do with targeting those accidents that I got in before I tried to relocate off island. So this is the first accident that I've been in quite a few years, though, y'all. Because like I said, I've been targeted for 5 years, since 2020. The 3 car accidents I got in happened in the span of 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. We're now in 2025, so this is 3 years later. It's been 3 long years. I haven't been in any car accidents. I was borrowing my mom's car. I have had this car for about half a year now. The time is flying. Not half a year. That's an over-exaggeration. About 4 months. I've had this vehicle. Today, they were doing the most with the gang stalking. And I was stupidly listening to something that was controversial on my phone. I'm dumb. There's no other way around it. I'm an idiot. Like, literally, I know that it's rush hour, right? I know how it works. A lot of people are involved. A lot of people don't like me. Right? There are some people that don't get involved, but there are a lot of people that have it in for me. I'm riding on the road with them. It's so much traffic. I know that they're watching me on camera 24/7. They're listening to everything I'm listening to. They're driving, but they're paying attention to me more than the road. Not everyone. Let me be careful, because there's those few that do not pay attention. I'm telling you, I'm sure they know what's going on and they watch every now and then. There's a small select few that are not staring at me 24/7. A small select few. Like, there was this one lady that drove by me. I said this the other day. And she looked engulfed in her conversation, boy. Like, I could tell she wasn't even paying attention to me. I don't even think she knew she was driving by the target. Everyone else, I'm looking in the car, I could tell they know that I'm the target, and they know that they're driving by me at this exact moment. And it's just like the most fascinating thing to watch. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here dealing with that, right? That exposure. Nonetheless, right? So what happened was I left the gym. I was at the gym, worked out. They were doing gang stalking stuff in there again, too, but it seemed less intense, and it actually felt more like that friendlier type of gang stalk where they're telling you, okay, you need to change, even though I feel like that's gaslighting, because it's not that I need to change, it's just that this needs to stop, and then I'll stop reacting. And even when I try to act humble, it's like I still keep getting antagonized and antagonized until I finally have a reaction. I've talked about this in prior videos, what happens in that gym, and how I'd be trying to move humble and they'll keep doing stuff, and then eventually I'll react. Like it's some sort of, it almost feels like I want to say a test, but it's ridiculous because no, it couldn't be. Because after stuff happens and I don't react and I act humble, it still continues to happen, and then eventually I'll have a reaction. So I'm just like, is it a test, or is it just like do until you get the bitch to react? Like this is what I'd be wondering sometimes in my head. Anyway, nonetheless, today felt more like one of those friendly days where it was more like okay, we're trying to teach you to change, even though I don't feel like I need to. But okay, we're trying to teach you to change. I can work with that type of energy where it's like seems constructive, like constructive criticism, rather than just straight destruction, like you're just trying to tear me down. I can respect when it feels constructive. So anyways, that's what it was feeling like today, even though the cop had on the army pants. I was like, okay, cool. They on whatever. You know, it seems like it's on that type of energy where it's more constructive today. They had one of the dudes that they use on me sometimes to sip water. You know, when I start getting ready to set up for the deadlifts, he slides over. Actually, it was when I was doing, before I started doing the deadlifts, I was doing my reverse elevated lunges. He slips over right in front of the machine and he starts sipping the water, you know, doing the water thing when this song in my earphones came on that was talking about change. It's the song for Aaliyah, if you're familiar with it, talking about we need a resolution. And she says, am I supposed to change? Are you supposed to change? Na, na, na. Y'all know that song, right? If you're a 90s baby or a millennial, I'm sure you do. You could look it up if you don't, right? But anyways, when that came on, I noticed that I saw them slide over. I saw they have this new gang stalker they're using on me. He looks like a teenager, maybe early 20s. You know, I would call him a kid. Like, that's improper grammar. A kid is technically a baby goat. But to me, that's a child, right? I'm 33, making 34. He looks about, you know, early 20s, late teens. He's white. I noticed they started using him recently as a gang stalker. So he's walking, he starts walking in the area too. And he kind of rubs his nose as the song is playing. And then the guy, one of the guys that they use to, as the water guys is what I call them, to sip the water and paint the false narrative that I'm thirsty. Because that's what my targeting, I told y'all already, the theme of my targeting is bearing false witness. And so they're trying to teach me about bearing false witness. And so they're painting all these false narratives and pushing all of these false narratives. And that's the theme of my targeting. So I'm like, okay, this seems constructive. Let me just move humbly like I typically try to do. And so every time, you know, they were walking by with the water, or the white kid would walk by, or whatever was happening, I would just put my head down and just be humble, right? Like what I was trying to do last time when I went to the gym. So I just kept doing what I was doing. I wasn't catching an attitude at all. You know, I even saw the guy with the water bottle, like he got nervous while I was doing the reverse lunges because he dropped his water bottle cap on the floor. But I'm like, okay, I think he thought I was going to flip out again on him or something. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in a humble mode. You know, I'm not about to do anything. So nonetheless, y'all, I just kept moving humbly. Then I get to my deadlifts. I start setting up for the deadlifts. This is when things start getting a little swanky in there, where it felt more destructive than constructive. And that's where I started getting a little cocky, just a little bit. So I start setting up for the deadlifts. The cop walks by in front of me. He goes in the bathroom. So I'm listening to a song where, in the song, one of the lines says something about beefing with freaks. Now that's played on in my earphone so many times before, they never walk by for that. Like the real low stuff, they don't typically walk by or make noise for. But as I'm setting up to do the deadlift now, all the time it seemed like it was one of them constructive type of moments, constructive gang stalking type of sessions while I'm here in the gym. The cop, while I'm setting up to do the deadlift, he walks out the bathroom as I said, beefing with freaks. So I'm like, huh? I'm like, what are you taking a low blow for now? Like, you know, it seemed like things were cool in here. Coolish. I mean, this is gang stalking, but it seemed constructive. And now he's coming out for that. So that was where I kind of like, you know, now I'm getting in that kind of way where I'm about to act cocky now. And I know it's probably because I'm setting up to do the deadlift has created some sort of contention in there. Me deadlifting the 300. I don't know. Like, they're going to say I'm being cocky for saying this, but I have documented it. It's literally every time I'm about to do deadlift, like a lot of gang stalking stuff starts happening in there. Literally, I have documented it. So I was just like, huh? So I was just like, okay, I still didn't really act too cocky or think anything, but I started kind of moving that kind of way that I start to get in when they start getting, like, destructive with the gang stalking. So anyway, I'm still setting up. I noticed now they put the white, I keep saying kid, that's not proper grammar, but they put the white gang stalker that was kind of moving back and forth earlier when they were saying change. It's like they had him sit there. You know, he's supposed to be weightlifting, but he wasn't really doing much. He was mostly just sitting there watching me, and he kept rubbing his nose and pinching his nose and pinching his nose. And so that's where I started to now get cocky. So I kind of did this chuckle, and I shook my head like, this is ridiculous. Every time I set up to do this deadlift, it's something new. Remember last time I told you it was some girl in some short pants, you know, looking kind of thirsty, with the thing riding up her backside. She stands in front of the mirror, she's blocking me. So, I mean, it's just like, it's constantly, and now it's going to be me. I'm the problem for saying this, but it's really, this is what's been happening. The first time when I went to do the 300-pound deadlift, as soon as I got in the gym, they're telling me there's a drink at the counter for me. So it's just like, this is why I chuckled, and I started chuckling. I thought it was funny. So I chuckled a little bit. I still didn't act super cocky. I didn't think anything nasty. I just chuckled. And then I started setting up my phone to record myself because I've been wanting to record it. Like, that's an impressive lift. And I'm like, I want to record myself and have that in my record. Because on my Facebook, I actually have like this little, you know how y'all can set up the stories on your profile for your Facebook? I have a gym stories, I have a gym stories highlight on my Facebook. And I wanted to add it to my highlight. So I'm not going to ask the kid that I know is a gang stalker to record me while he's there rubbing his nose. I definitely was going to ask him to record me. I wasn't going to go and ask the dude that's the water boy that they used to sip water. So I was like, let me just set the phone up and see if I can get it to record me. So I set it up. I was about to record myself. The phone's messed up. My phone has water damage. Of course, I'm broke. Y'all know what happened with the day job. I'm working security at the moment. I'm completely broke. I'm trying to make it. So I haven't even been able to afford to buy a new phone. I'm not used to living like this. I'm telling you, like, me of old would have had a new phone. But anyway, so I have this busted ass phone that has like this issue with recording. And so it's like the video is shaky. You know, as a matter of fact, I need to watch it again. I haven't even watched it since I left the gym. But nonetheless, I knew it would be shaking, but I knew it would at least get me somewhat. So I set up to, sorry, y'all, I'm seeing the light. I'm trying to see if that's the supervisor coming to sign me in. It is. I'll be back, y'all. Sorry, y'all, I'm at work right now and the supervisor came to sign me in. As y'all know, I do security at night. And so there's a supervisor that always comes during the shift to sign us in. I almost forgot where I was at, y'all, or what I was saying before I left and paused the video. But I was telling y'all what happened in the gym today and what led up to the car accident that I was in today. The fourth accident now that I've been in the span of 5 years since my targeting started in 2020. Mind you, again, reminder that prior to 2020, when the targeting started at age 29, I had never been in a car accident before. I had never even gotten a speeding ticket. So that's 15 years of driving, a large chunk of it in the States, on busy roads like the I-95, and I had never gotten in a car accident. And then I move home and get targeted, start getting stalked on the roads, etc., watched on camera, noise campaigns, rev campaign, etc. And I get in now, it's 4 back-to-back. Well, I wouldn't say back-to-back. 3 of those car accidents that happened in the 2 years when my targeting first started was back-to-back. Were back-to-back, excuse me. This 4th one, it's been a while, right? It's been 3 years, and now here the 4th accident has happened during the targeting. So I'm gonna tell y'all what happened today. So nonetheless, I was at the gym. And I was telling you I was doing the deadlift, and I told you what started making me act up, not even really cocky, because there have been moments where I've really acted like very cocky because of the gang stalk and stuff they're doing. I wasn't even acting that cocky. I just started to move a little bit more, like that kind of pompous way I start to move when they start doing the destructive stuff, like having the kid sitting there and pinching his nose and rubbing down his nose. And then, like I said, the cop had walked out right as I was setting up for the deadlift, right when the lyric to my song said something about beefing with freaks. So I'm like, why every time I get to the deadlift, it starts getting like this? So anyway, that's why I did a little chuckle, and then I did start moving like a little, just my movements. It's just this way I just start to move, but I didn't say or think anything negative. And so I was just setting up to record myself because I genuinely wanted to record that lift. So of course the camera was shaking. The recording is terrible. I don't even think I'll post it to Facebook. I was thinking about maybe putting it up as my story, but not as a highlight. I'll wait till I could get a good recording of me doing it, if the Most High spares my life, to put it in my actual collection of highlights on my profile. But the one I took that's shaky, the video I took today, I might just put it on my story, and then when it disappears, it disappears. But nonetheless, I set the thing up to record myself, and I did my deadlifts, and it was smooth and nice. And then I did another set after the 300. Like typically after the 300, the heaviest that I go, that's it, I'm done with the deadlifts. But because I didn't want to tire myself out for the heavier lifts, I saved some of my lighter deadlifts for after. So and it was just kind of this way, like I'm going to failure in a way. If you know about working out, you'll know what going to failure means. So after I did the heavy 300, then I started to do the other reps I was supposed to do, and I just did it until it felt like I couldn't go anymore. Like it was really burning, and then I was done. I stopped and I left. So I left. I was, I'm hearing the birds chirping as I'm leaving. I just thought in my head, like I always do. Y'all know I was behaved today. I didn't do anything today. And I drove to the basketball court. So I go, I'm still on some humble energy like I have been. I'm playing basketball. I'm shooting this careless kind of way. Like that happens sometimes. Like it's just a part of my routine. The way I set it up is like I have it so where Monday through Friday, not Monday through Friday, excuse me. Friday evenings I go for a jog instead, a 20-minute jog. That's my cardio. But I go to the gym Monday through Friday. I have different routines set up. Monday through Thursday after the gym, I go to the basketball court and I just have it set that I have to make a minimum of 10 shots. So I can make more than 10 shots, but I can't make less than 10. Like I don't allow myself to leave the court unless I've made at least 10 shots. It's just a part of my routine. Another form of cardio, but very light cardio, where it's not like I'm going to be burning too much because y'all know I'm trying to actually gain weight. But I still want to incorporate cardio and I really like basketball. So anyways, I'm there doing my thing, right? I'm just playing the basketball. I'm shooting carelessly. This is how it is sometimes if I'm feeling tired, right? I'm not trying to show off. It's not a movie. They're watching me. I don't want it. I don't want them watching me. I want my freedom and privacy. I only start showing off when they start doing a lot of noises and like, again, it starts feeling destructive or whatever. Then I'll start acting the fool and showing off. I wasn't in that kind of mode today at all. I'm just shooting, doing my routine like I normally do. And I was tired too. So I wasn't even practicing good form. I wasn't trying to make the shot. It's not like I purposely did this where I was purposely missing. And then towards the end, I start shooting and making it just to be funny. Like I was just authentically shooting. I just wasn't trying. I wasn't like making sure my form was proper. I was just shooting and it's like missing and kind of going in and rolling into the hoop but not going in. And that type of stuff like that happens sometimes when you're having a shitty day. And it's like, again, I wasn't trying. So then this song came on my playlist that they sent to me. You know how they do with the technology. That's another form of technology that's used on targets. It's called shadow networking. I've talked about this in numerous videos, y'all. And that's part of the links that's located in the description box and comment section. Videos where I share info about the shadow networking AI software that's used on targets. Where literally every technological device you have is hacked. Your text message, your phone, basically not just your text messages, your phone, your computer. Look there, I'm making the noise. I don't know if the video's picking up on that. I don't know if the video's picking up on that. I'm exhausted, y'all. It's been a long day and I was in a bad car accident. And I'm still going. Like I'm just constantly still going. I feel like the Energizer Bunny. And then I dealt with a lot of heinous rev campaign when it happened as usual. The celebration when something bad happens to me and I can't get away from it. It's like I'm stuck with this light on me. So anyways, I'm not saying the person that's making the thing in the dash go off is celebrating, but a lot of people were. I'm just saying I'm exhausted. So if I start to stammer a little bit, then that's what it is. I'm tired. Anyway, so I was just shooting, man. I wasn't really trying. And towards the end, this song came on, right? And with the AI shadow networking software, they can hack everything. That's what I was talking about. They hack your computer, your laptop, your cell phone, cable. If you're watching cable on the TV, they hack everything that's connected to, that's technological. It's just really creepy, high science stuff. You got nanobots involved. You got AI programming involved. It's called shadow networking software. I learned the term from Michael Barden, who was a former military agent, another high profile target that's now targeted, another whistleblower. Anyway, so with that technology, they can actually send you videos with subliminal messaging in it. They can actually change videos. I've shown y'all examples. Check out the links in the description box and comment section of them using it on me and then using it on another target. There was this target, he was watching cable, right? And this new special came on where they're talking about this dude that killed this girl in his apartment. He was this weird, creepy dude. But the dude had the same name as the target that was watching the special. Now, mind you, he's being watched on camera. So while they're roasting this dude on the TV, who's inadvertently supposed to represent him, he's being humiliated because it's this weird thing they do with the technology to humiliate you. Well, they'll put on these weird, freaky, creepy ass people that might have slight similarities to you. Like they might have the same name as you with the same spelling, or they might have one item in their room that's the same as yours, or something very slight and minuscule that might be relative, right? And they'll take these people and paint these false narratives, and they'll be like the person that's, reporting the news about the creepy person will be going in on the person and insulting the person while they're inadvertently kind of trying to represent this person as you and roasting you inadvertently. And everyone's watching on camera. It's like this fucking roast session, public lynching type thing. It's a humiliation campaign. That's one of the main tactics they use on targets, is humiliation. So that's a way that they use the AI shadow networking software. But another way is to sensitize you. If there's certain things or themes they want to sensitize you to, you might constantly be seeing the theme of stealing, if that's relevant to your targeting. Whatever it is they want to sensitize you to. So anyways, with the shadow networking software, sometimes they'll send me songs. They know I put songs on my playlist to listen to while I work out. And so sometimes if I'm looking for songs, or if they send me, like, let's say a workout video, the song in the background of the video will be sensitization. So they sent me this workout video, and in the background, I heard a song saying, I'm the biggest, the largest. No, I'm not sure if that's how I got it. I think I got it when I was on my app, my music app, trying to download songs. I think that's how they sent it to me. You know, I was just looking for music and I saw the song and I listened to it, and I was saying, I'm the biggest, the largest, something, these haters go something, the biggest, the largest. But it was just a good workout song. I didn't even care about the hater part. And I know they were shadow networking because they make it like I'm saying everybody's jealous of me. And I never said that. What I talked about was the tactics that they use on targets, and the tactics emulate hating. So that's why you'll have a lot of targets saying, oh, everyone's jealous of me. And then they get called a narcissist. The moniker narcissist is used on them. That's what I was talking about, because they were constantly throwing narcissists at me. And I noticed that was a relevant term in the community. I noticed I saw so many videos from different targets talking about being called narcissists. And so I realized, oh shit, that's what's going on. I said, you know, it's these tactics they're using where it's like the blocking up stuff, or, you know, if you're doing something that seems like an accomplishment, they're trying to stop it up, like what's going on with the 300-pound deadlift, for instance. Or when I was trying to become a developer, they kept taking the current, like stuff like that, tactics like that, or sending stuff with the technology to insult you and tear you down. These are all tactics that, you know, someone might feel like, oh, they're just hating on me. You know, that's just a natural human reflex to feel that way. And so you start moving that kind of way, and then moving pompous and cocky because they're constantly trying to tear you down. And so, no, they're just haters. You know, they're just this and that. Oh, they're just hating on me. You know, I know this is something good about me, and they're trying to tear me down. They're just hating. And you say that, and then you get gaslit about having that reaction, and you get called a narcissist. And so that's what I said in my video. Of course, it was taken out of context, like everything else. They purposely take things out of context too. So it became this thing that I was calling people haters, and I was saying people was jealous of me. Mind you, something like that happened shortly before I lost the job. I believe that played a major part of me losing the job too. It was like several components to it of what happened in there. And it was really a lot of reactionary stuff from me, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I should have never made videos. That's where I kicked my own self in the butt. But stuff was happening. But nonetheless, you know, one of the things that happened was this misunderstanding with this coworker, where she, you know, anyway, I'm not going to go into the details about it because I made a video about it, and I don't want to. One thing, it would be like I'm sitting here making videos about the job again. I'm trying not to do that. But that was even something that happened in the job, the day job I was working shortly before I left. The theme of jealous and haters and this and that. I never said that. I never said that. But I do see targets who do say that. I've even seen targets have videos saying, your light is so bright, that's why they're jealous of you, this and that. I'm just like, oh boy, they're really going to call you a narcissist. You're not understanding how this thing works. It's a big gaslighting thing where certain tactics are used that will create a certain reaction, and then you get gaslit about the reaction. So these tactics are being used on you. So you're saying, they're jealous of me, they're a hater, as a reaction. And then they're going to call you a narcissist. I'm like, okay, that's not the video to put up, buddy. It's going to get worse for you. Anyway, I never said that. They took my video out of context. But nonetheless, that's why they send the song. They were sending that song, you know, to play off of the jealous hater thing. I'm just like, I know this sensitization. They're always sending me songs with sensitization. This is a good workout song. It's saying I'm the biggest, the largest. And I know this would be good when I'm doing heavy ass lifts, like when I'm squatting them big heavy ass loads, or if I'm doing a heavy ass deadlift. Like, I feel like that would give you good energy. Like most people that work out know you listen to those type of songs to hype you up. The only difference is you're not targeted. You don't have everyone listening to the music with you and glaring at you and everything you're doing. So that's the difference. But I was like, they sent this to me with the bullshit. It's not like I looked this up. It sounds like a freaking good ass workout song. I'm going to download it. And I even remember explaining as I downloaded it, I know y'all are being petty by sending this, but it's a good workout song. I'm going to download it. So I downloaded it. And every time the song comes on, I still feel like I'm explaining myself to them. Like, you know, y'all sent this to me, but it's a good workout song. I don't think anyone's hating on me. Da, da, da. It's still this thing where they were like getting worked up about the song still, or I don't know if they're just trying to fuck with my head. Like, I don't really get it. It's just weird. But anyway, so that song came on while I was on the basketball court today, and they start flying the plane by and doing all this extra stuff, and I'm just laughing like, this is dumb. I'm like, y'all need to stop. I said, I know everybody's not a hater. Nobody's hating on me. Y'all know why I downloaded the song. Please stop. I'm just laughing at the dumb, stupid shit. So nonetheless, towards the end now, they start revving back because I was really missing my shots. I just wasn't trying. I wasn't putting form in. I was just shooting enough to possibly make it. I wanted to make my 10 shots and leave. But also, too, I didn't mind staying there a little bit longer just to kill time and stuff. I like being out there and dribbling and stuff. So I'm just shooting haphazardly like I do sometimes. And then sometimes towards the end, I'll shape up when I'm ready to leave and I'll start actually trying to shoot. So they start revving in the road and the fly and the bird flying by and the drones. The bird and the flies are drones, y'all. Doing extra stuff like they do sometimes when I start missing, even though they know it's just because I'm not trying. And so I just thought that was funny. I was like, let me really get out of here and start making my shots. So I start actually trying and I start making my shots. Hear the craziness in the background. Now I'm hearing crazy noise in the back. So it's just the Lulu. So anyways, I start now actually trying and making my shots because I wasn't trying before. I was just taking haphazard shots. I didn't care. It's not my fault you're watching me. I'm going to live my life how I want to. I'm not here for basketball court show or to put a show on for you. I'm just here to shoot and have fun. This is a part of my routine. So anyways, now I'm ready to leave, and I'm ready to get serious, and they're revving by in the road and doing stupid extra stuff. So let me get myself together now and really start making these shots. So I actually start trying and I start making buckets, obviously, because I know how to shoot. So I make my shots and stuff, and they start flying and revving by and really making noise, and I start laughing. I said, oh my gosh, they're probably like, this bitch is just fucking with us. This bitch is just fucking with us. I just be talking with them and talking smack. It's just playful stuff, especially when it comes to the competitive edge and playing basketball and the sportsy side of things. If it's not the serious stuff. Like, to me, that's lightweight. It's childish. Who cares? So I'm just laughing. Like, this is stupid. I'm like, okay, I'm making my shots now. I'm like, well, boy. I'm like, they're probably saying, like, this bitch playing with us. Like, this bitch was probably faking the whole time. I'm like, that wasn't the case. I wasn't trying. No, I'm trying. So anyway, I just made my shots. I just started cracking up at what they started doing. I just started to crack up. I thought it was funny, genuinely. Because I'm like, it's not a big deal. They have seen me come on this court before and make buckets. Like, this is not a big deal. So anyway, I made the buckets and I left, hopped in my car, and I'm driving. I'm still moving humble. I was like, I don't feel like going home right now. I want to take a low drive. It was still kind of early. It was like around 5 o'clock or whatever. I'm like, I want to take a low drive before I go home. I don't know what possessed me. I think it's starting to rain now that I'm saying this. I don't know what possessed me to do that. Every freaking time, not every time, because there have been times where I've taken drives and it's gone good. I've had the car for about 4 to 5 months now. But there have been several times where I was supposed to just go home and I decide to do extra stuff and I get in problems. Typically, the problems have been a flat tire and then me having to get my shit towed home. Today was the coup de grace. I actually got in a car accident. I was like, dummy, you should just went home. Especially since I knew it was rush hour and all these cars were on the road. So anyway, even dumber, right? While I'm driving on the road, doing this low drive, I decided to finish watching this thing I had started watching before I left the house about Whitney Houston. So basically it was this documentary, right? Talking about her, whatever happened to her at the end of her life, how it happened and whatever, and conspiracy theory about it. And some people speculating it was murder, and them just kind of giving the backdrop story of where she was at in her life at the moment and how her health was and who she was dealing with and what she was doing at the time when this thing occurred, right? And what the autopsy report said. So I don't know what would possess my retarded ass. Excuse me not to use the word retarded because that's like a derogatory term about a real mental illness. But I don't know what would tell my stupid ass to listen to something like that while I'm on the road during rush hour. While everybody's watching me, all the cars are around, I know what they do with the Rev campaign. I know I get easily distracted. Why would I listen to this now while I'm trying to take a drive at this hour? Like, stupid. This is where I want to knock myself. Stupid. So I put both earphones in. I'm listening to them talk about this shit with Whitney Houston, right? As I'm driving, the thing don't start already. Every time they're mentioning death, I'm hearing Rev in the road. I'm like, okay, just ignore it, Sharifa. Just ignore that shit. You're used to the weird heinous stuff. They're bipolar too anyway, because sometimes they're rough for that, sometimes they don't. It's really like bipolar activity with the targeting. Nonetheless, I'm like, okay, whatever. I drive all the way to one end of the island, the east end. I'm taking a low drive like I told y'all. As I'm getting to the east end, they start talking about her health, her physical health, and what was going on with her organs because she did long-term drug use. For decades, Whitney Houston was a cokehead, crackhead. She smoked weed. The weed, I was even refuting that. The weed didn't do shit to her. It wasn't the weed. Weed is natural. I mean, it's better if you eat it, in an edible rather than smoke it and have the smoke coming in your lungs. But weed isn't going to mess up your organs. What fucked her up was the coke, the crack, the alcohol. She was on 8 different prescription medications. She was doing the most, and she was getting older. You can't do that for so many years, not do anything to reverse the damage. It's not like she was working out. It's not like she was trying to eat healthy. You can't do that for years. She was smoking cigarettes too. You can't do all of that to your body and then be aging and not expect shit to start falling apart. But that's not what killed her, though. Even though she had all that shit going on with her organs, she had heart failure going on, because this is where it started getting heinous with the targeting and what led to the distraction, right? But anyway, so she had heart failure. She had emphysema. You could hear it in her interviews towards the end of her life. Like, her voice was gone. Like, she didn't have much of a voice, and, you know, just a lot of stuff was going on. You could tell she wasn't healthy. Anyway, then she had breast implants too. I'm not coming for anyone that gets breast implants. You know me, like, I get in trouble for saying controversial stuff. But I learned years ago in my early 20s when I was getting into holistic health and stuff that they have something called breast implant illness. And a lot of women don't know about it. They get breast implants and they don't realize that that's a thing. But it's like this unknown illness, basically. And a lot of times these women will get the breast implants and then they'll start having a bunch of health issues, and they won't link it back to the breast implants and realize that it's the silicone or whatever they put in there that's making them sick. So she also had breast implants. So she had all kinds of, like, it was a recipe for disaster as far as her physical health goes. Nonetheless, that's not even what killed her. What killed her apparently was, they said, a drug overdose, and she drowned. So she had a drug overdose and she drowned. But when they did the autopsy report, they found bruises on her face that looked like defensive wounds. So it looks like somebody could have, you know, whatever to her. And so, of course, that's controversial as a target. You have everyone listening to what you're listening to, staring at you. A lot of them don't like you, have a problem with you. And you're driving on the road during rush hour. Like, why would I listen to that? This is why I want to slap my own damn self. It's like, you dumbass. So anyway, of course, Revan is going by when certain things are being said. That's already distracted me. But I'm ignoring them and I'm going, minding my business, still not responding. It wasn't until they got to the point, hold on, y'all, let me blow my nose. Hold on. It wasn't until it wasn't until they started talking about her organs that I really started to get reactionary, because they actually made my horn go off. So I was out of the way on the other end of the island at this point. I was already dealing with the revving up in the background every time certain things were being said in the video, but I was ignoring it. I got to the east end of the island now. They're now going over the particulars of her physical health at the time of her death and what was going on with her organs and stuff. And this is where they were talking about the emphysema and the heart disease that she had, and the this and the that in her liver. She had fatty alcohol liver and all kinds of stuff the lady had going on in her body, right? Even if she didn't die the way she did, she probably wouldn't have had much longer if she hadn't turned her life around, if she didn't turn her life around. So anyways, I'm just creeping out saying that stuff. I rebuke it in the name of the Most High. Anyway, so while I'm driving down there on that side of town, they start talking about her heart and going into the details about what was going on with her heart, and that the fact that one of her arteries actually had a blockage. I forget the specific term for it, but the artery was blocked up, basically like what happens with heart disease, and also what happens with, if a heart attack is going to happen. Because what happens with a heart attack is the artery gets blocked up. So a lot of fat will start building up inside of the artery. And what creates that is several things. It can be poor lifestyle choices as far as your diet goes. Eating unhealthy, that can cause blockage there, like excess cholesterol, horrible fatty type foods. Smoking cigarettes, I'm not just saying that because this is controversial, me saying this. A lot of people have it in for me for the stupid comment I made when I tried to relocate off island about cigarettes. It wasn't even that serious what I said, but it was this big thing, and that's become a part of my targeting now. But smoking cigarettes can also clog arteries. Everything she was doing, man. Everything she was doing. The snorting, the coke, the crack. She was freebasing her weed. So she was putting crack in her marijuana. Like popping pills, all these different prescription pills, drinking liquor. All of these things can do that. I mean, liquor ain't gonna really block up the arteries. The thing about liquor is that it thins the blood. So if you're drinking liquor, you're likely not gonna have a heart attack, especially if you're drinking wine. It will thin your blood out. But it's the other shit she was doing in addition to drinking liquor. And the liquor will cause fatty liver. The liquor can cause fatty liver. So if you have a fatty liver and your kidneys and your liver ain't fucking working right to try and get some of those pollutions that you're putting in your body out, your arteries are going to get blocked up. So she was doing a lot of shit in her heart. Her arteries are blocked up. She had heart disease. And I think the heart was actually enlarged too. Her heart was enlarged. I didn't hear that in the documentary earlier, but I know that from a different documentary I heard about her from before. So she was in a bad shape. So as they're talking about the lady's heart and how she had a blockage in her heart and the fat was building up in the artery or whatever the case was, They're doing this thing now where the other night, I think I talked about this in one of my recent videos, there was a gang stalker that was behind me. And as soon as I went to turn, they started laying on the horn right on my way to work. And shortly before that happened, I was at the house, right? And we have some cats at the house, some cats that my sister and my brothers take care of, right? We had found this new little cute cat, adorable little cute cat. Couldn't find the cat. You know, my sister left the house, all of a sudden the cat's missing, MIA. So I'm leaving for work, and I think I'm hearing a cat. Not the cat, the bigger cat that was on the porch, but I'm feeling like I'm hearing a slight... So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe the cat hopped in the garbage or one of these little crevices and got stuck. Let me see if I can listen out and find where the cat is. And all I'm thinking about is the cute face, you know, because I have this cute face. So I'm trying to listen out for the freaking cat. They're revving up in the neighborhood or wherever they were revving at, in the road, whatever, doing annoying shit, the loud rev campaign. So I couldn't even hear good because they were revving so loud. So I start to go off. I start flipping out. Like, I don't even have anger issues. They swear up and down with the targeting gaslighting that I have anger issues and I'm this like volatile type person because they're seeing me work out. So I look super strong. It's almost giving steroid rage. If you looked at me from the outside and you didn't know what was going on, it would seem like one of those rage steroid type, muscular type people that go to the gym and have anger issues. It's not that. It's never been that. What's going on is I'm targeted. I'm being antagonized 24/7. I don't have privacy. I can't even sit on the toilet and take a shit without the camera sitting in the toilet with me. This is what's happening. So of course you're in a constant state of anger when you're dealing with this. I'm not nowhere near as angry as what I've seen happening with some targets. I saw this one dude trashing his apartment. This was back when I used to watch videos of other targets. I don't do that anymore because I realized they shadow network and they start manipulating the technology. So I don't do it anymore. I don't look up targets anymore. Before, when I was doing that heavily in 2023, 2024, like beginning of 2024, I was seeing all these different videos of different targets. And this one dude was trashing his apartment. He was flinging stuff. He was so fucking mad. He was slamming shit everywhere, throwing shit. I'm like, oh my God, you are falling right into the trap of how this thing works. He was getting physically upset. There was this one girl too. She was screaming to the top of her lungs. Her veins were sticking out. You know, this other guy was talking about how he had heard that one of the gang stalkers died because this target ran the gang stalker over. And he said they're playing with the lights when they're doing this and this and that. He's screaming and saying this in the camera, talking about what happened with this gang stalker. And he looking like he about to do something. He looking scary. So I'm just like, I don't ever want to be that type of target because that's how the thing works. It's just this really diabolical trap up type program where it's like these antagonizing things happen until you get so angry you do something that gets you locked up, or something stupid like a car accident that could get you locked up too. It's just one or the other. It's nothing but destruction when you're in this thing. So you have to be very careful. But nonetheless, I'm not that type. I'm not the physical type that's going to get physically mad and hurt you or hurt anybody. If you put your hands on me, I'll fight you for sure. But I say things. I get mad. I might cuss. I might get that kind of mad where I'm cussing and it looks like I have this volatile temper. When anybody that knows me from the past knows that's like the complete opposite of who I am. Like, I've always been laid over, even somewhat of a pushover actually. And my sisters used to actually laugh at me because they're the ones with naturally hot tempers. Not anything like what's been happening with me in the targeting, but they have hot tempers. Not to the point where they're exploding the way I explode, but they have hot tempers, especially my younger sister. Like, that was something that was known well in my house. My younger sister and my older sister used to bump heads like this because they both had hot tempers. My mom actually used to physically fight my younger sister when we were growing up because my younger sister had such a hot temper and she was the kind of knuck if you buck type thing. I was always the laid back one. My mom even told me I was like her most laid back child. She actually used to say that. So for me to be in this thing now and having these angry reactions and them painting it like I'm bipolar, I have anger issues, it's ludicrous to me. It's almost the same level as them calling me a narcissist because they're using tactics that's making me say or certain things or act in a certain way. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever the case is, I was flipping out when I couldn't hear the cat because I'm trying to just simply do something as simple as hear for a cat. And I can't even do that without these people revving up because I just stepped out my fucking house. So I started flipping out. Then I finally get in my car and I'm headed to work now. So I'm already annoyed. I didn't have this explosive reaction. I sit in my car, I'm driving to work now. It's like one of them saw the reaction and it kind of like, I don't know, amped them up or turned them on. I don't know if they're getting turned on or what's going on. I looked at the definition of a sadist and it says a sadist is someone that gets pleasure from torturing someone. And they said they either get enjoyment or sexual pleasure from torturing someone. So I start saying these, stuff out the side of my neck because it gets me so angry and I can see the delight in some of their faces like they're actually getting enjoyment from torturing me. And so I'm just like, damn, this is truly like sadism.
It is sadism, like the real definition of it. And so then I start saying that type of stuff and just getting pissed off and having a reaction and loosen out my words and not really trying to contain what I'm saying. So anyway, I'm done now. I'm on the road. I'm driving to work. I guess somebody saw and got worked up from the highway, fly behind me. And so now I'm about to make the turn to get to my job, the post I was at for that night. They wait till I turn, then they drive up on my bumper and beat me. They sat on the horn a little bit, not as much as I sat on the horn after I chased after them. I got so worked up this night. Again, it's never physical where I'm going to put my hands on you. I'm never going to hit you. It's not like I was planning to ram into them. But I was so pissed this night. It was just like the one thing after the other. All day long gang stalking. Now I'm leaving the house at this hour of the night because I work at late hours. You know, it's about to be 12. They're still watching me. I'm just trying to hear for the kitty so I could save the kitty if the kitty's around. This revving so loud I can't even hear for the freaking kitty. I started flipping out. Now I'm having what I call a justified flip out moment. Now you're following me because you're watching from wherever in the privacy and freedom of your car. Now you want to tag on too. So I was just like, you know what? This gang stalking, group bullying shit. You feel safe because you're doing it in a group. I'm going to come after you. Since you feel like it's okay to, just jump on me. Okay, you'll be the one that I'm going to hop on. This is not a safe thing to do. It's not like I'm really going to actually do something. I'm not stupid. And I have a lot of control. I'm telling you, everything I've been through, from how I've seen some targets react to how I react, I have a lot of control. From some of my family members, I know for a fact if some of my family members were in my shoes, they would have did something. I'm not that person. The most you're going to get is nasty words. I might flip out one day, but not put my hands on you. I'm not going to purposely hit you. Definitely not. But I chased behind them and I laid on my horn. I jammed my horn in them. I laid on the horn and the car kind of has a slightly electrical issue. Like the right window doesn't go up. You know, I think my mechanic told me the solenoid went bad. And so he had to override it just so the car would even work. So I have a slight electrical issue. You know, I'm dealing with targeting. You know, I don't have stuff that's brand new anymore. So I can't afford to do dumb shit like that and have these kind of reactions. So I laid on the horn and it triggered some sort of thing with the horn where now the horn, it just was going off. The horn just kept, after that night, you know, I have to go to my still haven't gotten it fixed. I tried to write my mechanic to fix it the day I wrote him. He had to leave and do something. So, you know, I just said when I get paid again, I'm going to go and let him deal with it. That doesn't have to happen anymore. Now that the car accident happened earlier, that problem is eradicated. The horn is completely not working now. But anyway, before the car accident happened though, it seems like somehow with the program, you know how they can hack everything, your cell phone, your computer, your this, your that. Somehow they had hacked into the electrical system for my car. I think that's how they make the clicking sound in my dashboard. I think it's electrical. So they have some sort of hold on the electrical system in my car. That's how high science this damn thing is. And they started making the horn go off at certain times. I couldn't even, as much as all the technology they're using on me, I'm fucking microchipped. Brain to computer interface technology. That's also linked in the description box and comment section. I know they can hear my thoughts in real time. It still never ceases to amaze me how advanced the technology is. I didn't even put it together that they were connected to the electrical system in my car and they were making the horn go off at certain times until they revealed it to me. You know, they did it obviously. I forgot what they did it for. And I said, oh shit, wait a minute. They're the ones making the horn go off. And then I heard the bird drone in the background. And then they started purposely making it go off at certain times. Purposefully. So they've been doing that since it's been going off for the last week and a half, last 2 weeks. Every time I park up, I have to plug the battery out. If it's plugged in, even if I'm driving, they'll randomly make it go off for certain things. Like if I watch something, you know, and something with sensitization plays, they'll make it go off. If I have a reaction, they make it go off. So that's what happened earlier. I was driving, like I said, I was on the east end. They were already making ref campaign in the background when they were saying certain things about this thing that happened with Whitney Houston. Now they're talking about her organs and the state of her organs when, you know, whatever happened with her happened. And they're specifically talking about her heart disease and the fact that her arteries were blocked up. They make my horn go off. They start making the horn go off. I'm like, oh my God. I said, are y'all serious? I said, y'all can't be serious. I said, I know you're not comparing me to Whitney. I said, are you kidding me? So it was going off. They made it go off for so damn long. I had to turn in by this apartment complex out there at that end of the island, park up, take the thing off and put it on, and then start the car up. And they're going chirp, chirp, chirp with the bird drone in the background. So the whole ride as I'm riding home, I'm supposed to be enjoying the drive. I'm having a conversation with them in my head. This is how fucking weird the targeting is. I'm having a full-fledged conversation with them in my head about how wrong they are to compare Whitney and I. And all the differences that I know they know are blatantly obvious, but they're just doing it on purpose, again, to antagonize me. But I was just pointing out all the differences. I'm like, okay, so first of all, I've never done hardcore drugs. They actually separate alcohol and drugs. They're both substances that get you under the influence. They're both addicting. You can get addicted. They both provide some sort of dopamine rush, right? But it's different. Why do you think with those campaigns they always say alcohol and drugs? It's not the same thing. Alcohol is not a drug, but it's in the same category as drugs. They always say alcohol and drugs. I have never done drugs. I did alcohol. That's first of all. I was a wino. I was a smart alcoholic too, by the way. Not to say that there's ever such a thing, because if you're addicted, then there's not really much smarts to it. But I tried to be smart about the addiction. My mom even used to say, you're a smart drunk. I think you're a smart drunk. This was when I was in my early 20s. Because I used to do things to counteract the damage that I knew I was doing to my liver. First of all, I tried to stick to wine because I knew wine was a healthier alcohol. I'm not gonna lie, when things got real bad that one year where it was real bad, like blacking out and I got raped, I had started drinking rum. Not regular rum either, like the cheap white vodka. That's how bad and low I got. For 1 year. That was 1 year of my drinking. The other 2 years, it was wine. I was a straight wino, nothing but wine. But nonetheless, while I was drinking, just as much as I was drinking alcohol, I was drinking coconut water. Coconut water is hydrating. Not just hydrating as regular water where it's just like hydrating you. There are actually things in coconut water that can reverse damage. It's an antimicrobial, it's an antibacterial, so is coconut oil. It has high potassium in it, so it's good for cramping and unblocking arteries. There are things to coconut water, that can help counteract alcoholism and help heal the liver and flush out your system. So I was drinking coconut water like crazy, just as much as I was drinking the liquor, because liquor is a diuretic. It doesn't even matter if you drink wine. It's a diuretic. So it dries out the water from your body. So you're super dehydrated if you're an alcoholic. So the best thing you can do if you are dealing with alcoholism is to drink a lot of fluids. It feels weird talking about that with the way they call me thirsty. One of the many false narratives. But I was truly thirsty back then. I was drinking a bunch of coconut water and regular water, spring water, making sure to hydrate and try to counteract what I was doing. I was doing a lot of turmeric tea because I knew that was good for inflammation and detoxification. I was doing a lot of coconut oil. I was doing a lot of moringa powder, chlorophyll, those things that reverse it. I was working out. So those are the things I was doing to reverse the damage I was doing as it was happening. The thing about your liver, and that's mainly what gets affected when you drink liquor, the thing about the liver, out of all the organs in your body, it's the most easy to regenerate. And so if you're somebody that's an alcoholic today, if you turn your life around today and, your life is spared and you change your lifestyle, your alcohol will be as good as, your liver, will be as good as new in 3 months. So that's the thing about it. Even while the addiction was happening, I was taking care of myself. Nonetheless, I wasn't doing hardcore drugs. I was doing liquor. It was over a decade ago and it was only for 3 years. And only 1 out of the 3 years was hardcore stuff. For the 2 of the years, I was a wino. I was drinking wine. Whitney was on hardcore drugs, right? She was doing cocaine. She was doing crack. She was doing like 8 different prescription drugs they were talking about. She was taking downers and uppers. She was taking antidepressants, all kinds of crazy shit, popping pills. She was smoking freebasing it. So she was smoking marijuana, which wouldn't have been a problem if it was just pure marijuana. And she was freebasing. She was putting coke or crack, whatever, in the marijuana. Right? She was drinking alcohol. She was on a bunch of shit. She was doing everything like a storm for disaster. She wasn't working out. She was smoking cigarettes too, on top of things. She wasn't eating healthy. She was on the drugs liquor combo cocktail for a much longer time than I was. She was much older than me when they checked out her organs. She was 49. I'm only 33. And again, my alcoholism happened over a decade ago. So you better believe my liver has completely bounced back. I didn't even need to bounce back because the things I was doing back then protected it. But nonetheless, so there's no comparison. And the lifestyle I'm living now, I work out. Heavy weightlifting is real good for the heart. Cayenne pepper, which I drink by the gallon. I'm over exaggerating, but I drink a lot of cayenne pepper in water. Good for the heart. Like everything I'm doing, it's just completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Everything I'm doing, my brain is freezing up, y'all. I'm exhausted. With the lifestyle I'm living, let me just put it that way. I'm really tired. With the lifestyle I'm living, there's no way that my heart would be in the same state as hers, unless it's the technology. Like they did something with the technology, God forbid, to fuck with my heart. There's no way with the lifestyle I'm living, with the way that I do cardio, with the way that I'm doing the heavy weightlifting, with the way I'm drinking water, the way that I'm eating relatively healthy, black beans, rice, chicken, typically when I have money, broccoli. There's no way my arteries are clogged. The cayenne pepper that I'm constantly drinking, which opens the blood vessels and clears the arteries. There's no way. The oregano oil I take, which is also good for clearing arteries. There's no way. I'm only 33. I only was an alcoholic for 3 years, over a decade ago. There's no comparison. Nonetheless, they're just antagonizing me. But my stupid ass, the whole ride, because they made the horn go off the way they did to the point where I had to pull over to the side of the road, because they did that, it bothered me so bad. The whole ride as I'm riding home, I'm having this conversation with them in my head about the differences between Whitney and I and how we're so different and how my heart would never be in the same condition as hers. So I'm having a stupid ass retarded conversation with them that's not necessary. And as I'm heading now on this road that's going to lead to the highway, basically, and then hop over to my neighborhood, as I'm on this back road that's leading to the highway, they start now talking more stuff about her autopsy, right? Whitney's autopsy. I'm at this point done. You know, I felt like made my point. I already, like, the whole ride was arguing back and forth. Not even arguing because it's not like they're answering me. But the whole ride I'm having this conversation in my head with them, this one-sided conversation where I'm making the comparison between Whitney and I and talking about how different we are and why my heart wouldn't be in the same condition as hers. Nowhere near. I wouldn't even be able to do the type of lifting I'm doing if I had heart issues. They actually warn you. Anybody that's going in the gym that's new to the gym, especially if you're older, they actually warn you. Like, if you have heart issues, you might want to see a doctor before you start doing heavy weightlifting. I would never be able to do any of that. I would never be able to do the jogs I do. Anyway, it was stupid. It was dumb. Because it was obviously them just antagonizing me. So I was done responding to them in my head, and I was just driving now, listening to the documentary, listening to the rest of it. I'm on this back road about to hit the highway. They start talking about the autopsy again and how she had the defensive wounds on her face. So it seems like some people think she might have been murdered. They were even kind of speculating that Ray J could have done it. You know, Ray J is, I don't know what the fuck she was doing dating him. He was in his, I think, early 30s or late 20s when she was dating him, mid 20s, whatever it was. And she was in her late 40s, about to make 50. She was 49. And she's dating him. I don't know what she was thinking. I'm not judging her. You know, I don't have a right to judge anybody. The reason it's strange is because she kind of had this relationship with Brandy, his older sister, where she was kind of like a godmother to Brandy and a mentor to Brandy and teaching Brandy music and how to, you know, do the singing and stuff. And so Ray J kind of used to sing back in the day. So it's just like he was up underneath them and he's so much younger than her. Just kind of the whole dynamic was strange to me. But nonetheless, I'm not judging. They were grown people when they did what they did, right? But nonetheless, they were having this relationship and he was notorious for being a drug head too, Ray J. He's notorious for being a drug head and kind of like sleeping around, and that's kind of the issue he's having in his marriage now. I think he's actually getting divorced, whatever the case is. So a lot of people thought it was a bad idea for her to be dating him because she had finally, after decades of being on all these fucking drugs, gotten herself cleaned up. She did the movie Sparkle with Jordan Sparks, and then all of a sudden it's like she relapsing. She's doing the drugs again and she's dating Ray J. So everybody was kind of like, what the fuck is this? Why is she doing this? So this is what was happening at the time when the thing happened. And so she was at the, you know, it was the Grammy week or whatever it was. And she was in a hotel for the Grammys when the thing occurred. You know, the drowning overdose fiasco. And the autopsy was showing that she had defensive wounds on her face. So some people were speculating that maybe Ray J offed her or somebody offed her. Like, it's a big conspiracy theory. People had all these type of different conspiracies about the shit. It was just really creepy. Especially if you're a target and you have a bunch of people watching you that don't like you and that keep revving by in the background for weird shit. So I'm listening to it and them talking about the fact that she might have been murdered. They fly the little noise campaign plane over in the sky. So I look up in the sky. They actually saw me do this, you know, right before the accident happened. I looked through my dash. I said, oh, look, the plane. I said, I know why they flying by too, because they're saying she might have been murdered. And I just chuckled and shook my head because I'm just used to the stupidness with them. They had just made the horn go off in town when they were talking about her artery being blocked. So I'm just like chuckling and studying what they're saying in the earphones. And so I'm now about to cross into the highway. And how I was supposed to do it was go on the highway, go to the next light, do a U-turn, and then be on that side of the road. And then I could turn off, make the left, and get to my neighborhood. There's this area where you can just cut straight across. And a lot of people take that shortcut. But because it's so dangerous, you know, it's 4-lane traffic. You have 2 lanes going up on the left side, 2 lanes going on the right side. I mean, compared to the States, it's nothing. That kind of road is nothing compared to like the big, thick, like the I-95 that they have in Florida and stuff. But still for here, that's busy traffic, and then it's rush hour time too. So it's like the worst time to even do that type of turn. So I know better, but I'm just trying to rush and get home now because I'm hearing revving every time they're talking about her getting murdered, and I'm seeing the plane in the sky. And, you know, even when I had stopped at the gas station before I got to that back area where they were talking about, you know, the defensive wounds and that she was possibly murdered, again, they just mentioned the word, you know what, while I was pumping my gas. I hear one set of rev campaign. I was like, oh my God, they're on one today. I said, Jesus Christ, let me just get home. Yeah, I need to hurry up because my battery's low. Let me hurry up. Anyway, so I was just like, Jesus Christ, you know, I'm just like, they're on one today. Let me just hurry up and get home. So I finished pumping the gas. I pull out into the road and I you know, head back to where I'm heading to. And then I get on that back road that I'm talking about. And they now start going into the details about, you know, the autopsy and the defensive wounds and the conspiracy that she might have been murdered, etc., etc. So while they're saying what they're saying, I'm hearing revving. I'm seeing the plane in the skies. I looked at the dash. I said, wow, they're ridiculous for flying by for that. I said, they are really ridiculous. So I'm listening to what they're saying, the details about this autopsy, as I'm crossing the road to get across. And I have both earphones in and it's blasting in my ears. I have my dark shades on. I'm always wearing these extremely dark shades because I feel uncomfortable. Everybody's staring at me. But it's dangerous to wear these dark ass shades, have loud ass earphones in your ear, and then all these distractions with the targeting. It's not smart. So I just go to cut across and do this little shortcut that's technically an illegal shortcut. People take it, but you're not supposed to. It was my bad completely. I look in the road. I didn't see not one car. I did not see a car. So I cut across quick to try to get across before the traffic on the other side gets down. As I cut across, out of nowhere, I just see this car in the lane that's right before I was going to get to the other side. So I'm like, where did they come from? If I had pressed the gas instead of the brakes, I probably would have made it over without them hitting me. But I got so basity by this car out of nowhere that I didn't see that I hit the brakes instead. And he hit his brakes, obviously. He was supposed to hit his brakes to try to stop. And so he jammed up into the side of me. He hit the side of my car hard. Thank God he wasn't going super, super fast. So it's not like it was a super bad impact, but it was bad enough to cause damage. My whole door is messed up. The front of his car got totaled. He already had a very old car. So that didn't take too much to total that. It was a small old car. His wife was in the passenger seat. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. One of the guys pointed out that she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So her head slammed against the dashboard and her forehead immediately started bleeding. So of course now I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, you idiot. I immediately thought to myself, you idiot. You know, it's just like letting all the distractions happen, listening to my earphones. I should have just took the shit out from the time all this stuff was happening. Instead of explaining myself and all this other retarded shit, just take the shit off, go home, and then you can finish it when you get home. I don't know why I would continue listening to it. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. So nonetheless, I'm just like dumbass. Dummy. I just call myself dumb. So I put the earphones in the thing and I'm just preparing for whatever this is now I got to deal with. I'm like, another car accident. Now car accident number 4. Hey. So he's coming out and cussing, of course, and this is understandable because his wife just slammed her head on the dashboard. So he's cussing and stuff, and I'm just apologizing to him because I know I'm completely at fault. Like, even though it's whatever circumstances I'm under, I'm completely at fault here. So I'm just apologizing to him. That's all I could do. There's nothing else I could do but apologize. And eventually he kind of started calming down. But he's like, oh my God, you know, this and that, whatever. You know, just crowing and complaining about the situation. And so now we're waiting patiently for the ambulance to come and the police to come. And this is the highway and it's rush hour time, y'all, when this shit happened. So while we waiting, of course, a bunch of cars passing by. I'm seeing one sort of smirking in delight. And then this one lady used this as an opportunity to try to cuss me because she knows I'm a target. She's probably been watching me not liking me. So she used this as a moment to try to put some words in, but this been fucking this and that. I don't know what she was talking about, but this is something that fucking this and that. Couldn't even hear what the lady was saying. Cuss and stink. I'm like, I need to be humble right now. As much as I want to go off on her, this is a moment where I'm at fault. I stupidly kept the fucking earphones in. I allowed all the little distractions to get to me. I wasn't focused. I made an illegal turn on top of things. If it weren't an illegal turn, then I might have even could say, okay, you know, it's all the fucking distractions with the targeting. Look at this bullshit. But it's the fact that I made an illegal turn and then was distracted. It's like, this is where it's just like, it's fucked up. So I'm just like, oh my God. You know, this is just the worst of the worst. So nonetheless, I'm just staying humble with it because I'm trying to deal with the situation. I'm just ignoring her. She eventually close her mouth and drive off. And yeah, I'm just seeing a bunch of people driving by smirking, of course. And then some people had the wherewithal to realize this is their situation. And, you know, whatever my personal feelings are, I'm not going to smile in delight while I'm driving by the accident. I'm gonna have a neutral face. So some people were driving by you neutral face, like as if they were driving by a regular accident. Especially after I started thinking in my head, oh my god, I can't believe some of them actually driving by smelling. That's so wicked. You know, so then they start driving by and I'm seeing like straight stone faces. I'm seeing either like the face look like you have a poker face on, or you're just looking like it's an accident, like you're authentically like a person that's driving by an accident with regular people that you don't know. That's what it started looking like. So I was having this conversation with one of the guys there, and he was explaining to me, you know, he was asking me if I was okay and stuff, and he said, "You sure you okay?" He said, "You're probably gonna end up in the hospital tomorrow." I said, "No, it's a big vehicle. I feel okay. You know, I'm more concerned with this lady." And so that's what it was, y'all. You know, it's just me just documenting the accident. I just wanted to tell you the particulars of what happened right before the accident, because this is like a prime example of what I was trying to say, though. Where targeting can lead to you actually getting in fucking accidents and all these crazy you know, I've had other targets talk about it. All the kind of crazy shit and trouble that you get into when you get targeted. It's not just you losing credit. It's not just you losing jobs. It's not just you losing money. You lose assets. Y'all, I just wrote the governor right before this car accident happened. Coincidentally enough, I am so fucking desperate. I wrote the governor for the Virgin Islands a message on freaking Facebook literally a few days ago, talking about the trauma of the targeting and how I've lost assets, credit, credibility, jobs, etc. I just wrote him like 2-3 days ago, and then this car accident happened, literally begging him to help me and tell me what I need to do to get out of this thing. I wrote my mother, begging her to tell me what to do to get out of it. Of course, I didn't get an answer from the governor. I'm not too upset about it because he has like 11,000 followers on Facebook, right? I wrote him in the wee hours of the morning. You know, I'm sure eventually he heard that I wrote him. But when I wrote him was when I was at work in the wee hours of the morning. He has like 11,000 followers on Facebook. I have 1,300, so like 1,000 and change. And what I realized is that friend requests turn into followers. So every time someone sends you a friend request, if you have your follower thing turned on and you don't accept the friend request, it turns into a follower. So I was just like, oh wow. So if I have 1,300 and I'm getting messages in the spam box from these people that I'm not friends with, and I don't even see the notification for the messages. It's like if I don't click on the spam box. The other day I clicked on it by coincidence. I clicked on the spam box or the people you may know box. There's 3 different boxes. You have the inbox, you have the people you may know box, and that means somebody that sent you a friend request that has mutual friends with you, but you're not friends with them on Facebook. They go in the people you may know box. And then you have the spam box, which somebody that has no mutual friends with you, and they sent you a message. So you have 3 boxes. Of course, somebody's still staring at me and listening to what I'm saying. I heard a loud noise just because I burped. You're like, this is just a weird program. Anyway, so you have 3 different inboxes. You have the inbox that you're getting messages from your friends. You have the people you may know inbox. Hold on, let me pause this and let this noise go by. The people you may know inbox, and that means the person sent you a friend request. They have mutual friends with you, but you're not friends with them. And then you have the spam box. And that's the box with people that you have no mutual friends with that sent you a message. Let me blow my nose. Hold on. Anyway, let me hurry up, y'all, because my battery's low on this computer. But anyway, so I know how that works. I'm not friends with him on Facebook. That's why I tried to send him a friend request. But I can see he has 11,000 followers. So that means he has all those friend requests in his inbox. Mine is going to be one of the thousands in his freaking inbox. So I'm like, that was a waste of time, but I tried to do that so that way if he did by some miracle add me, my message would go directly into his inbox and not into one of those other side inboxes that you don't even get notifications from. Literally the other day by accident, I clicked on the spam box. I saw so many messages in there. I clicked on the people you may know box after that because I just got curious. I saw a bunch of messages in there and they don't notify you about those messages. It just sits there unless you click on it. It's not like your regular inbox where you get the notification. So I'm thinking my message is probably just sitting in his inbox, like in the people you may know, because him and I do have mutual friends. My message is probably just sitting in his people you may know inbox. He probably didn't get a notification for it. He probably has a bunch of messages anyway. He's the governor. And then he has 11,000 followers. So I'm like, I'm probably one of thousands in his freaking inbox. So I'm like, I gotta find a different way to contact this governor and see if he could tell me some way to rectify the situation, because obviously this is not a way to live. And it's actually like destructive too. I've been in 3 back-to-back car accidents in the span of 2 years, and now I'm finally in my 4th one. They really got me distracted today, and then my stupid ass had both of my freaking earphones in with the loud, stupid, conspiratorial shit playing in my ear. I have the big dark shades on, and I'm making an illegal turn like a dum-dum. So I got in an accident. I got in my fourth accident, and the lady rammed right into the side. The guy rammed right into the side of me. Thank the most I have insurance. I feel like that was a blessing for me. He had an old car. His car is very old and raga. So typically what happens in those type of situations, I think how it works with the insurance is they're going to give him the value of his car. So it's probably going to be like 1,000 or 2,000. It's not as bad as if a newer car had hit me like that. I would have been screwed had it been a newer car. So it's going to be that amount of my premium is probably going to go up a little bit. The most negative thing that happened with the accident is that my shit is fucked up and I don't have full coverage. So I'm going to have to cover it. Because this car is prefab, they don't fully cover prefab old vehicles. So I'm going to have to cover that shit myself. So the door is messed up and it seems like the front axle for my tire is fucked up. So I'm gonna have to cover the door can stay like that until whenever, but the tire thing, that's gonna be an inconvenience. I realize I have to drive real slow and stupid until I can get that fixed and I'm broke. So that's the main thing. And then his wife hitting her head on the dashboard. That's the other thing that really sucked. Her head was bleeding. She had to go to the hospital. So that's the two main things that was negative about it. His car, they probably throw him 1,000, 2,000. My premium's gonna go up a little bit. The other stuff is just like, that's what really sucks. I don't have money. And now I have to do with trying to repair my car. His wife, like I said, had the little thing on her head. So this all sucks. I heard when the guy was saying, oh, she didn't have her seatbelt on. One of the guys at the accident, he was saying she didn't have her seatbelt on. That's why she hit her head on the dash. They started revving like crazy. Like, they don't want me to get no type of leeway. They started revving like crazy. I said, oh my God. But I don't even think that would make a difference. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works. But still, I was completely at fault. So whether she had her seatbelt on or not, the whole car accident happened because of me. I don't know how the particulars work with this. I don't know how the breakdown is going to be when they do the breakdown of what they do. But I was completely at fault. You can even see where the hit happened. Like, I was very honest with the officer. I was making an illegal turn. I didn't see him. He rammed into me. That's just what happened. But I had to talk about it. First of all, just document what happened. But also use this as a moment for me to prove my point about the other 3 accidents. Because even still now, every now and then they're throwing subliminals about drinking and driving when they know full well that's not what happened. It had everything to do with targeting. All 3 of my accidents that happened before I left Island, there was 3 back-to-back car accidents, let me remind you, in the span of 2 years, had everything to do with targeting. So anyways, I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace out.